Hey everybody, this is Alan Hickman along with Jan Stringer and John Paduchek. Our webinar on attracting perfect customers using Google Hangouts with master Google Hangout and hangcasting expert John Paduchek. And Jan, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here today. And I'm very excited. I know when I talked to John, what was that, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe three, he started, I just will admit that I've had a complete block about Google Hangouts, like resistance, you could say, that I did not want to learn this. I didn't want to do them. It was made my brain think in a new way. And even though I've done numerous interviews with people, I always kind of like go, I wish I wasn't doing that. But then I talked to you, John, and what was really great about it is that I got excited and I went, oh, like I started seeing a possibility, my lights went on about it, and that's why I wanted to do this Google Hangout today to just share some of your wisdom about what we shared about that day and just have a casual conversation about how people could use this technology to really get their business going in a new direction or an expanded way, and that's why I'm excited to be here with you today.
Awesome.
So let's just get started. So I want to, I'd like to just, take the approach that we're all in elementary school about Google Hangouts. And so, given that some people are listening in to this webinar will have had much more experience than, say, I did when you and I talked. But let's just assume that all of us are in the, basic 101 class with John Paduchek. So tell us a little bit about number one, what Google Hangouts is intended to do. Like, what's the purpose of it? Like, why would I want to even do a Google Hangout? And then we'll get into how we could use it and various techniques and tips that will make it even better.
Sounds
So
great.
back to the original question. Why? What's the
What are we
purpose of this
doing here?
these kind of
Exactly.
medium? Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, I think that the real answer to that, Jan, is Google Hangouts was designed as a communication tool, just like Skype. And as it worked out, it ended up being a great collaboration device as well, so that we can collaborate on documents together and, gosh, do all kinds of things through it. And it makes just a great face-to-face medium. It's like you and I are having a conversation right in my living room, which is kind of like where I am right now. So it's like you and I are sitting across from each other, you and Alan and I, having a great chat among friends. And you can't really get that kind of interaction anywhere else. You can sort of do it with Skype, but it's just not the same. It's not. You can't see the body language. You can't connect in that way. And we've talked about this a number of times. It's kind of that aspect we get of people that resonate with us. A lot of it is the body language. A lot of it is the talking, the speaking, the different things that we say. So video really plays in well with how people resonate with us and how they approach us. And Alan, I actually
John,
had this conversation last night a little bit.
you actually have a personal experience of how you used a video to meet your wife.
I do, because I think you and I talked
Wow, I
about
didn't
this,
hear.
Jan. You didn't hear the story.
I
Okay.
didn't. No, I did not. No.
All right. So I have kind of a personal thing behind video because it actually attracted me to my wife. I met my wife early in 1990s in a video dating service. When I first moved to Boston, my boss said, you're going to be working like nonstop. Maybe you should join a dating service so you get out a little bit and you're not so preoccupied with work that you don't have some fun in life. And so I took his advice and I did exactly that. And I know that from doing that and going through that process, you walk through and you say, wow, this person looks really interesting to meet. But the minute you watch the video, it was a completely different story. You were really either enticed by their voice and the body language that they were sharing with you or not. And so
Right.
it was a big game changer in a lot of ways. So I kind of had that
Yeah.
experience with video early on, and I realized how it really affected the way that we perceive people. And then as we started doing more stuff with Webinar Jam, and that's of course how I met you and Alan. Um, it just became pretty obvious that the more videos we did, we actually had people kind of coming out of the woodwork, approaching us out of nowhere, and who doesn't want that, right?
Yeah. So
So
you just mentioned Webinar Jam. There may be some of us who don't online who don't know what that is.
Okay. And Webinar Jam, I'll actually talk a little bit later about Hangouts and how they're set up and the different types of Hangouts. But Webinar Jam is an application that sits on top of that, and for people who are more involved with webinars, really interested in doing more of them, it's a great tool because it lets us pop up offers. It lets us have this chat like we have today. So you guys out there talking to us, you can, if you have questions, there's like a little question. It says mark as a question, and you can actually ask us questions here. So if you have questions as we go along, feel free to pop those in. But Webinar GM lets us have that interaction with the audience. Now, you don't have to have that to get started, but it's something that lots of people evolve into, something like Webinar Jam or Easy Webinar, like we are today. So that's a great question,
Yeah.
Dan.
Yeah, and just a little anecdote. Mention about Webinar Jam and the affiliate program that you used, and what
That's also
happened with that.
with that. Yeah, I was sharing with Alan last night. We were talking about how important kind of video promotion of different things is. And when we first started promoting Webinar Jam, it was interesting. Mike Filsane was actually watching our videos. And so he would often comment. He's like, I really like what you guys are doing with the promotion of my product. And he actually started copying us. So if copying is the most sincere form of flattery, there you go. So he actually was copying some of the stuff that we were doing. And then later on, as things went along, we were realizing just how much people enjoyed the videos, the walkthroughs we did of Webinar Jam. Um, like I said, that's one of the reasons I met you guys. Sheila Paxton actually purchased through me, and I ended up meeting you through Sheila. But interestingly enough, that video persona and the way you come across on video, we often get comments of, "Gosh, how real you guys are," and people bought Webinar Jam through us because of that. And we actually, I think over that couple months of that promotion, made about $8,000 on the promotion by video alone, no list, just solely through video. So, and just because
so
people really clicked with us.
So you just made videos that promoted Webinar Jam,
Yeah,
and people bought it, like
yeah,
Sheila Paxton. And
right.
interesting enough, we bought it using Sheila Paxton's affiliate code, and so you get an affiliate check for as much as $8,000 as a result of doing it.
Yeah.
Now that's attractive.
And we've done that since for a couple of other things. Audello came out a while ago, which is a real beginners kind of podcasting easily with podcasts if they have technical issues with it. And we did really well with that too. I think we did $2,000 or $3,000 in affiliate sales, pretty much all by video. So video is just uber powerful, and Hangouts is just one way to kind of get your word out, message out, and actually get in alignment with Google to give you a lot of love. So there's a lot of pluses to that. A lot of pluses to that.
well, one thing that I wanted to key in on, a couple of things you said here. First of all, you attracted your wife, and then we got into, how you used it for business. So Google Hangouts are a visual to attract whatever relationship you want to attract, whether that's a perfect customer or, in your case, a romantic partner. And that's one of the things we wanted to talk about today is how to attract perfect customers, or i.e., any kind of relationship, um, using Google Hangouts. So one, just to highlight something you said, is you were able to visualize and kind of get a sense of who that person was because you had the visual uh, connection and body language, eye connection, that sort of thing. And so that's one of the things that we could add to our strategic attraction plan, that when we are using Google Hangouts, we want to be able to visually connect with people. And that's something that I think really adds a bonus. And whether that's for business or personal, it doesn't matter. Google Hangouts can work in many ways. And then the other thing that you talked about in your success around Webinar Jam, which I can't remember if you said this, but we are using a Webinar Jam service or software today to set this up. So Webinar Jam is, to me, it's a Google Hangout with a benefit, like Friends with benefits. It's a Google Hangout with benefits, and makes things a little easier to program and set up and invite, and then turns it into the YouTube afterwards. But in your success for having, where you got the $8,000 check, one of the things you mentioned is you don't have to have a list. And I know that a lot of the people that are watching today, because we invited people from our SACAP program who are in the process of building their list, or maybe they haven't even gotten started building their list, or maybe they're never going to build a list. What I'd like to really speak to is how Google can be a vehicle. You can start today whether you've got a list or not. So could you maybe speak to that a little bit?
Sure. I think in the early phases of that, I kind of made a mistake in not building more of a list, but yet at the same time, we offered a bonus. We did actually build some list from that, so that people who bought Webinar Jam through us, became members of our first course that we did, which was our Hangouts Made Easy Light course. So they actually got to know us through that and learn through that, and we started to see some of our first successes with that. In that, we went through the process of showing people that learning Google Hangouts was like anything else that you learn in life, right? If we're going to go to the gym, we got a workout buddy. You do better if you get someone to go work out with you, right? And a lot of other things are like that too. And so we found that they had just great success going out, starting to do some basic Hangout videos on their own. And often that's scary because, we don't want to get our face out on camera, or a lot of people have this fear of getting their face out on camera. You may have felt like that yourselves at one point or another, right?
And no.
Never, of course
never,
not.
Never, ever?
Not me.
No,
yeah.
No, we didn't spend
maybe
any
like
time at all.
15 minutes ago, I'm going, why did I want to do this today?
And it's true, and so now with Hangouts, you've kind of got, you're not just a face behind the slides, you're actually a face that comes up with the slides. So in many cases, obviously you can still just do a slide presentation like you do on GoToWebinar here, but also you can get your face out. And if you're not afraid to get your face out and resonate with people, you're going to find that people who are like you, people who have a lot of factors that endear them to you, are going to seek you out. And so it's really good to get in the habit of, even though you're fearful of that, you think, gosh, I can't really do that right now. Just do it. Feel the fear and do it anyways is what I would suggest to you. And just kind of get started really easy. Just create small Hangouts on your own. And the great thing about Hangouts is the content creation, content repurposing. So you can take a little video that you do on your own, post it on your blog, start doing a little video segment of your blog, start talking about the things that you do every day. Start talking about the 10 top questions asked among your customers or potential customers, so that they come looking for you. Because the keyword search resonates with people too. And Alan and I were talking a little bit about that as well last night when we were chatting. That right, it's the keywords and graphics and different things people look for us. They look for things that catch their eye. And you and I talked about that a little bit too, Jan, the marketing side of getting things together, that we want to have podcast graphics and graphics that resonate with what we're doing for our events.
Okay, hold the phone. Hold the phone.
Yep.
All right, you went a little too fast. I know that
A little too
we were
far.
in the 101 program.
Yep.
I just want to, again, just emphasize some of the things you said. So first of all, just to reiterate the why of Google Hangouts. So you can see your perfect customer visually,
Mm-hmm.
which is great because we're all about being more authentic, open mind, open heart, connecting with those like-minded people. So
I
visually,
think it
definitely does that.
yeah, it's more so that your perfect customer can see you. There's
That's
more of
true. That's
that
Right.
true.
going.
Right. Right.
And just an anecdote I want to point out is the little details you mentioned about feeling self-conscious about being on video, etc.
Mm.
One of the things that I just noticed about you, John, is that when you look in the camera and your eyes, you've got these beautiful brown eyes. They're pools. I can see how your wife, I bet you looked into the camera and she just fell into those beautiful brown eyes of yours.
21 years in 2 weeks. So
Yay.
it's
All
worked
right.
out.
So that thank you, Alan. That kind of ties into the next point, the why. Is you were mentioning, John, the face with the slide. So instead of just doing the webinar that has the voice and a PowerPoint, there's actually a face with it. And in the SECAT training, one of the things we talk about is our willingness to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And we play around with, we're dropping our cloak of invisibility. And so, talk about dropping your cloak of invisibility. Invite somebody to sit in your living room with you while you're on video. That's definitely dropping that cloak. So this is like a step in that direction because many of the
Mm-hmm.
people in our programs but haven't quite ventured out in front of the live audience yet.
Mm-hmm.
To do that, this is a step to prepare for that. The other thing you said, a why, is that you could start today using your content that you already have. Everybody, all of us have tons of ideas, content, books that were waiting to be written. Why wait to write the book? Start sharing your information on Google Hangout today. And then another aspect that I just wanted to, the why, is that you would start to attract people like you, that people can see me and I, exude a certain whatever, that they are attracted to. And then you tied that into graphics. So
Mm-hmm.
I know this kind of got me going like, oh, okay. I woke up like at 5 in the morning after you and I talked, and I was thinking, okay, I could do this graphic, I could do that graphic. Well, what graphic really says it? Well, what's the title of my program? And, I was like, throwing ideas out, and I'm emailing John, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So, it's all really about that visual representation. It's like, it's the maybe the baby steps or the beginning or the expansion of our brand. And when we talk about branding, and we're not branding experts, however, so many people like that are branding experts are using our strategic attraction plan to pull that brand out within. Alan, you want to add on to that? I know you look like you're ready to.
Well, it's the brand within. That's one thing in and of itself. Our favorite Shark Tank personality, Damon John, wrote a book called The Brand Within, and it's basically that you have a brand that's yours. And I think that these videos really support you in expressing exactly what that brand is, because it's something that's intrinsic and it's in you and it comes out when you're on videos. And
Yes.
it's interesting that while we're on this video, I did a short video with a woman by the name of Sherry Nichols, and she did the Sparkle Summit. And that video is playing right now on another channel.
As we speak.
So as we
Really?
speak, and I've just noticed we have over 100 people requesting the strategic attraction and action, attracting your perfect mate uh, product that we promoted on that video.
Awesome.
So
Yay.
isn't
And
that
that
interesting?
that's the Oprah they used to call it the Oprah
The
effect.
fact. Exactly right.
So here we're talking about another effect that happens through that visual communication.
Right.
Oh,
And
here's another thing you
yeah.
said, John. I want to tie it back to, we talked about, you were talking about repurposing your content, blogging, tying it to your blog. Keyword search. Can you give us a little more detail about what is keyword search and how does that connect into a Google Hangout?
Sure. I think keywords is one of those things that we kind of tend to make it more complicated than it really has to be. Um, I really dumb it down to the point of I just kind of look through and think about the things that people would be looking for me for. And by doing that, I think you'll notice if you go into Google search and you type in or begin to type something, it starts to give you a list of suggestions. And at its basic level, if you don't know a lot about keyword research, it's the easiest way to get started. By going through and doing that and starting to begin to type something in and having those other suggested terms come up, you can go and you can start making some notes and writing things down and start working from there and writing up some additional notes of what else is coming up, and that's what we call kind of semantic search. And what that does is it allows you to look at, okay, what are the things that people are looking for around Google Hangouts? And you can start to answer some of those questions and start to get the word out about those things, and begin to be looked at as the expert that you want to be in that area. So,
Hold on.
I really went
All
over
right.
there.
Okay, this is all really good. Okay.
Okay.
Remember, I'm a
I
baby
know.
novice here. Green as a gourd. So so let's just use this webinar example. Say
Yep.
this was anybody listening or even ours, and I wanted to do a keyword search. What would I have plugged in to Google, for example, just from what we've already talked about,
From what we already talked about. Well,
or the title of
a
our
lot of it is going
webinar?
to be based on the title. So we would use certain words from the title, like Google
Okay.
Hangouts and achieving expert status with that, and start to search around those things and see what began to come up. And it's interesting, you immediately start to see questions on different things start to pop up that people are looking for answers for. So
Okay.
my first place that I tell people to get started is just start to look and search for those answers for those questions. Start to make some little short videos about them, 1, 2 minutes long. They don't have to be anything extravagant. And they can be as simple as this, just starting a hangout. And I'm talking like I'm talking to old friends, like I'm talking to you and, yeah, Alan and Jan, about what I do. It's like we're having a conversation across the kitchen, across the table, about what we're doing, and keep
Well,
it really
Yeah,
that easy.
I was really impressed, for example, when we just got on here and created that trailer. And it was
Mm,
just a minute and a half, 2 minute video. It was real simple. It wasn't slick, and it was YouTube. It was the YouTube age, and
mm,
I just got it from that. That okay, if I can make a minute and a half to 2 minute video, I could make a series of videos like that on a specific topic that I'm interested in, or that expresses my brand, or that gets me out there. And so just doing that trailer with you really created even a bigger desire that I have,
mm.
uh, to get out there. So that was a baby step for me of getting that, yes, we can do this.
Absolutely, and
so
we
I wanted to also, you mentioned people could write in comments or questions. Can
I
you
can
instruct people how to do that and maybe check to see if there's any questions at this point?
I haven't seen any questions yet, but they can
Okay.
write right in the chat window. You'll see on the right hand side where you're watching us today
Okay.
that there's a chat available, and there's a little box that you can start to type in messages to us if you'd like. And there's also a check box there where you can check it as a question, and it comes up with a big question mark for us so that we can see it. And I was going to add on to what Alan said about the trailers. We do those for a couple of different reasons. We do those because it's amazing. Hangouts has been around for a long, long time, but it's one of those things that I like to say it's easy, but it's not simple because there's a little bit of ramp up to kind of get started. People are often kind of fearful of, gosh, am I doing this right? It's a little bit complicated, and that's one of the things we do is kind of take the complication out of it. But the cool thing about that is that we get people on, we get to make sure their microphone is working correctly, all of those things. We can take some photos that we can use to do our webinar with. right during that trailer time, so you can actually take photos inside of Google Hangouts. Might actually do that in a little bit. So people can actually see the photos that we do in here, and we could use those for social media, use those for a lot of different things. And so that trailer serves a lot of different purposes, but it's also something that we put out so that people start to see and start to resonate with us about what our talk is about, that they can search for us for, because we can put some keywords and tags in those little trailer videos as well. So the trailer is like tremendously important to, I think, whatever you do. And I see that very few people do those, but it's a great way to kind of get people to start to connect with you.
Nice. Okay. So, a lot of people listening in are wanting to know a little bit more, like how you could support them, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about your upcoming program that you've created, so that if somebody were like, well, I'm very interested, I really want to apply this, but I need a hand to hold, I need some instruction. There's a lot of, you just threw out so many ideas here that I need that person to to bounce that off of it. Okay, what does this mean? What does that mean? So, can you tell us more about what you put
Absolutely.
together?
Yeah,
Yeah, you've created a bigger desire for us. I mean, I remember one thing that you mentioned last night was there's this photo thing of being able to take a picture on a Hangout, and you said you might show us that, and then you introduced that you could upload, this into a podcast that would then go to iTunes, and now I'm like, oh my goodness, now I can understand iTunes.
I
And
know.
and I'm thinking, Taylor Swift. When I do a search for one of her songs, up comes a little picture of the album cover, and so I just kind of put two and two together. Where you said you make a trailer and then you can take a picture, and that might be one of the things, the graphics that goes up to iTunes. So now I'm like, I really got to know what John Paduchak does, because if I'm interested in doing this, I'd like to have somebody that would help me hold my hand to make it simple.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking the other day about going viral, and nobody can really control going viral or make that happen. But what we can control is where we're seen. And there are lots of places that we could be seen. We could be seen in iTunes. We could have the interviews that we do repurposed so that they could be put on Kindle books. There's just so many different things that we could do. I could kind of go on all day about hand casting and the different pieces and parts of it. But generally, what we're trying to do is make it easy for folks to get started with easy lessons and just kind of cover what they need to know at any particular given time. Like many times people have all different things that they want to do with Hangouts. Gosh, I want to do my first webinar, right? I want to do an expert telesummit and have guests on. And how do I do that? So there's the combination of having great book learning and easy lessons to get started, and then there's the next piece of what we do, which is we have a group coaching program where we actually walk through specific examples of what you might want to be working on, where somebody who's one of our students could come in and say, gosh, I really want to do a telesummit. What are some of the things that I need to start to put together to do that and make that happen? Or I want to take the interview series that I'm doing and put it on Kindle book. How do I make that happen? Or I'm trying to get my first podcast set up, and how do I do that? And the podcasting piece is actually the piece that fits in most ingeniously with Google Hangouts, because not only do you have the video already, but if I take the audio out of that video, I can put it on iTunes. And one of my great friends, a guy by the name of James Schramko from Australia, he was on with me one day. We were doing an expert interview, and the first thing he says, I love what you can do with Google Hangouts, but I can't watch a video while I'm driving to work. It's that 30-minute commute in the morning. Bad things might happen. And so he said, if you can find a way to combine Hangouts and maybe podcast it, that'd be a really good idea. So I'd like to say all these genius ideas were totally my own, but friends brought them along, and I just kind of added as we went along to create something that I think is a pretty amazing content creation and repurposing system. So that's really what it is in a nutshell.
So a podcast is a recording.
Yeah.
Or the audio.
Just the audio portion.
Just audio. So that's when you're talking about taking a hangout. So this is a hang casting.
That's why I called it that.
Here's what you told me. Here's what I gotta throw this in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
You explained podcasting. This made sense to my elementary ear.
Yep.
That it's like a downloadable radio station. Listen while you drive to work. And
That's
I'm like,
exactly the deal.
okay, that I can grasp.
Yep.
And so hang casting is taking our Google Hangout, like we could literally take this Hangout and turn it into a podcast, which is just the audio.
Absolutely.
Downloaded so that you can do what Jan just said.
Put it on iTunes, and you get a whole new audience that can come and see those episodes. So there you have it. So anything that we do this way, anything we do in video, even our small videos that are 5 minutes, 10 minutes long, they could all be repurposed as a podcast. So all of that content, all repurposed in tons of different ways.
Okay, so now tell us about your special membership that you're creating, because we wanted to give our perfect customers the scoop on this, because I know there's limited space or seating at the table, let's say, your virtual table. And so tell us more about how somebody could really take advantage of this special charter membership and what it involves.
Sure, I'd be glad to. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to actually pop it up over here on the right-hand side. So this is one of the things I love about Hangouts is the fact that we can, Webinar Jam specifically, is that we can take things like this and load them up so that you'll actually be able to see it. And there we go. So you guys should be seeing this now in the audience. So what we did is we took all of our courses and put them together. So we had a course on Google Hangouts, a course on Google Plus, YouTube, and Hangcasting, where we did the podcasting with Google Hangouts. And what was interesting is when we first started out with Google Hangouts, there was a lot of people just teaching Google Hangouts alone, but nobody was really teaching every part of it, because Google and Google Plus, Google Hangouts, all of those, YouTube, they're all owned by Google. So they're all Google properties. So as we were saying even last night, Al and I, if you want to start a Gmail address, just a simple Gmail address, you automatically get entry into Google Plus. You already have your own YouTube channel set up right away. All of those things come. So we put together this so that it's really a system that allows you to become an expert in your field. You can get your messages out. People will begin to resonate with what you're doing. And so the very first step to that was having this course. And the course itself is $97 right now, but we expect once we fully launch it, friends and family to take part and help us further develop it before we go to our final launch. So right now it's only to be able to get into our class and get that great information. And then there is a step further than that where we do group coaching, which I talked about a little bit before, and then that's $97 monthly, and you can stay in as long as you want or as little as you want. Maybe you just want to come in and work on a couple of Hangout projects. Maybe you just want someone to hold your hand as you're getting started and getting ramped up, and we can do all of that. And so we put together both of those programs. But this is the first. This is our charter membership to the Hangcasting community. It's a great little membership site. It's very Udemy-like design. Some people don't know what Udemy is, but Udemy is like an online classroom. Again, another conversation we had. And what they do over at Udemy is actually kind of interesting. It's a place where people can get their products put up without having to know a lot about putting together the WordPress site, the funnels, and all of those things. And the membership is very much like that, in that you can go in and you can concentrate on what you need to concentrate on, and there are lessons there and exercises to support you in wherever you are and whatever you want to do. So maybe you're starting out with Hangouts today, and all of a sudden you go, geez, I need to know a little bit about YouTube to be able to take advantage of beginning to bring people over to my site with YouTube cards or annotations or things like that. And you can pop into wherever you need to and take advantage of all of that. So for right now, we have our whole course, our grouping of courses bundled as Handcasting Made Easy. So would love to offer that to SACATs, and I think you guys would find some great value from that.
All right, so let me just make sure I understand the offer. The membership is $97. That's a
Right.
lifetime membership.
Mhm.
You're in. Okay. And then that gives you access to all of the training materials that are online, right?
Correct.
If I want the live interaction group connection, that's $97 per month.
Exactly.
1 month, 2 months, 6 months,
Whatever you want to
the
stay,
rest of your life.
it's all good.
Okay, so that's really, really affordable. So,
Yeah, and
okay.
we tried to make it that way because when we first started, Ted and I, we just realized that, gosh, it takes a little bit to get going here. It's not super easy. And originally I was going to design the course on my own. I quickly discovered that, gosh, Google Hangouts, some days I'll come into Google Hangouts and it completely changes every day. So it's great. It's a great technology. It's free to use, but it's nice to have guys like us kind of looking out for you, watching your back, being able to keep track of all the crazy things going on, new changes, so you don't have to,
Right.
or things that come up that you can take advantage of. It's all there laid out, and so it's really a great place, I think, to get started.
Well,
And
Yes,
very reasonable.
as you know from the SACAT training, that we're a firm believer that of the value of the group dynamic of what comes together when people come together. There's one thing for me to be sitting at home and working online. That's great, and I really value the synergy, the community, um, especially that ideas that might be sparked by somebody else in the group that supports me, and how that all works. So I think the group aspect is great to have along with the online. So,
yeah, and I want to acknowledge you, John, for demonstrating exactly what we, really what we demonstrate in the mastery program is you have come up with your basically your free offer, which is the Hangout. You could look at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've created your upsell, which is the $97. And so what's happened is that in this Hangout, I'm seeing how you have satisfied a lot number of desires. You've answered a lot of questions. And in the process of my learning curve around Google Hangouts, I've recognized that I want more. And so, again, I want to acknowledge you that you've given me a way to get more with your $97 product. And then I can tell that when I get that and I start to dive into that, I'm going to have a bigger desire to actually do this. And so you've given me the next upsell, if you will, which is the $97 per month membership. So you've really done a great job of creating what we call a package and a sales funnel here. And I really I want to acknowledge you for for putting that together and for demonstrating that for other SACATs.
right.
Well, and we've got some great stuff we're planning on adding. I know we talked a lot, Jan and I, about the fact that we're working on a certification program for coaches. So that's going to be something that will be coming out. It'll be based off of the same membership material, just a lot more exercises involved with it, obviously. And there's a lot of other great things that are going to come off, of this as well. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah.
Very
Okay.
excited about it. And I was going to say, if you guys want to really have some fun with us, we could bring a few people in from the audience to answer their questions.
Sure.
If they're game, I don't know. Are you guys game out there that you'd like to be? Do you have a problem with being brought in?
Drop your cloak of invisibility now.
That's exactly right. So we'll give them a second and see. But I see one question about what equipment do we need.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah.
That is a good question. And it's super simple to get started. I started with a Logitech C920 camera, best camera out there. It also has a built-in microphone, and I've got this real simple little set of earbuds that I picked up at Walgreens. So
No.
there you go. That's pretty easy, right?
Walgreens.
I think I bought these at Walgreens. I can't remember. Either that or eBay. One or the other. Both of them are pretty reasonable for stuff like that. But I think that's where I got these. That's all you really need to get started. You start to move along a little bit more and get into the podcasting side. You know, you might get like a Yeti microphone or something of that nature. Because
That
there
looks
is.
like a legal weapon.
It does kind of, doesn't it?
Weapon,
Yeah.
not a legal one, a lethal weapon.
But there is a difference, you know, in the sound of being further from the microphone, because obviously the closer I get,
Yeah.
the sound starts to resonate with you as well,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to actually feel the vibration of my voice. So we actually optimize for different things too. We optimize more for video sound, just being more uniform, and podcast sound. And if you kind of optimize for both within and have the little deeper, more vibrational sound in your videos, you're good for both.
Yeah.
So the camera, the earbuds, and the microphone are all connected into your computer via USB.
Yeah, correct.
Right. Now,
And like,
John told me that Alan and I look geeky because we got the.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You did. You said I look a little geeky with this, and that's true because I agree with that. And the
Well, these you don't
headphones
even
we
see.
use are actually something I want to get away from. But for now, since you know, the microphone and everything is noise canceling, when my cat comes in and starts meowing, nobody hears it. So
Yeah, well,
I like that aspect too.
I may be showing my age because this earphones, this is what the early sportscasters looked like.
He likes looking
So,
like
Yeah,
a
I'm looking at this and
pilot.
going, yeah, I look like I look like the guys on TV, broadcasting those football games every Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, you look totally cute, I will say. But
It definitely
Well,
comes over
thank you.
differently for different people. You know, some really don't want to be seen all encumbered like that. I find like in the summertime it gets really hot with a headset on if I'm doing a lot of video.
yeah, we
And
did a lot of video earlier this week for another project, and by the end of, after several hours of wearing these, I'm like, I gotta get these off. So, and it messes up a girl's hair, so there are better solutions.
there are better solutions.
But you can get started. The point is, you can get started with something very simple. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Like you said, this C29, was it?
C920, Logitech C920.
Logitech C920.
920. Okay.
Yeah, you
Great
can
place
That
to
was like
start.
$70 or something.
Best Buy.
65 on Amazon, I think.
Okay. And
So it's
that
$65.
actually had a pretty good microphone included in it, you said.
It does have a pretty good microphone included in
So,
it. It's very, very good. In fact,
so
I think you
that
could
was
podcast with it.
earbuds from Walgreens. You're set to jet for less than $100.
Yes. So,
Okay.
very, very nicely.
All right. Any other questions from our
That's what I was looking at. People asked me a couple questions on Udemy. I answered that. It's great. Thank you for signing up for the membership. The possibilities are endless here. I have to say, the more I go along, the more I go, oh, I did this thing yesterday. I think I told you the podcast with my friend Paul Jenkins on Udemy, and I posted it. And there's a free course for you guys on video there. He made available. So if you get a chance to go and listen, Paul is he's a BBC broadcaster, documentary filmmaker, and man, he knows about video. And he's like one of my best pals.
Wow.
So it's a great thing on how to be able to do video, like with your camera. You can use the same strategy with your your Logitech C920 when you get it, and it's a great thing to be able to do more stuff with video, and it gets you into a whole different course realm. Udemy is a great place to kind of test out new courses. So, like for instance, we've got a particular topic we want to talk about and just do like a real kind of short course on it. 7 million people come into that platform, and
Wow.
a million new people every day.
Wow.
And they just got $65 million in funding 2 days ago.
Wow.
So
Wow.
these are the things that we look at to add into the plan.
I had a quick question. You mentioned you're going to be holding a monthly group session. Is that once a month or how often? And that's one question. And then the second question is, will it be through Google Hangouts?
It's always through Google Hangouts.
Okay. And
So
will we
yeah,
be able to see each other, or will it be like you can see me and Alan, and will we be able to see other people in the group?
you certainly will be able to communicate with other people like through the chat and everything.
Okay.
You won't be able to see other people.
Okay.
The group coaching, though, depending on the number who show up,
Mhm.
you will be able to see people in the panel. And
Okay.
usually we have like somewhere between 10 and 20 for group coaching, and we alternate in and out.
Okay.
So I'll have
And
people pop in.
so that would be another question. You can have what, 10 people
You can
each,
have, that is
just
a
a little
great
miniature.
question. You
Uh-huh.
can have 10 people in the Google Hangouts panel. If you have a business apps account, you can actually have 15 people in the panel.
Ah, good to know.
So you can have more people. But the business apps account, although it sounds great, gosh, I can have 15 people. Not quite as easy as it sounds. It's a little hard,
Right.
it's a little difficult to get turned on for 15 people. And
Yeah.
then above and beyond that, Google actually looks at them as being more private because it's for your business. They're trying to secure kind of your business space.
Mhm.
And so there's some different little nuances to it in inviting people to come and join you in that larger panel.
Yeah, a little more. Yes, yes, I can see how that would be.
Yeah. So
John,
we
But
spend a
if
lot of
it's
time on all these
people
things.
that are, joining once a month, you kind of get the hang of it, like it's not, the technology phobia isn't quite as severe as it is on the first class as it might be on the, third or fourth or fifth. So it gets better, right?
Exactly. It definitely gets better.
Okay.
And there's much. The nice thing too is we're always asking what would our clients want to concentrate on for each session. So we send out a message and, what would you like to talk about today, or what questions do you have? And we want to make sure that we get whatever you get that comes up covered, because we found many times people get stuck somewhere along the way as they're working on a project, and got to get unstuck as quick as possible.
Right. All right. Well,
yeah,
let's
John,
kind of.
you mentioned a video or a hangout that you did with Paul Jenkins, and you said
Yes.
we could go look at that. How do we do
Yes.
that?
It's actually posted in the SACAT community
Okay, great.
yesterday.
Oh, fabulous.
That was
In our
my
in
that
our
was my
Facebook
post.
group.
Facebook group. So it's in the
Okay, great.
Facebook group. You can go watch it. We did that through a regular Google Hangout event.
Mhm.
What we wanted to do for the course is actually walk through how you could do them in different ways. So last week we did it as a Hangout event. This coming Wednesday with you guys, I think I'll do it as a webinar a jam event, since you are familiar with it. And then the next couple of weeks, we'll do 1 through 22 social a couple different ways. There's a lot of different ways to do events and webinar, with Hangouts.
Yeah.
So, and we
All
want to
right.
show each way so that you can decide which way is best for you.
All right.
Yeah, so I think it's about time for us to wrap it up.
Sounds good?
Any closing thoughts before we go on about our rest of our day? So, anybody? I think you've covered a lot of information. I think that we've touched on many subjects, kind of given a general overview of the why, maybe piqued some curiosity about wanting to know more how I might be able to do something like this for myself. And certainly, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Email, or through the SACAT group, because I'm
Okay.
there. So they could
Okay.
PM me on Facebook, or my email is, I can stick it in over here for you guys in the chat. So if anybody wanted to get in touch with me, have questions, I'm a pretty available person. So I'm pretty easy to find, especially Google Plus. Probably the best way to actually do is on Google Plus, because it's got my email and everything there. So
Okay. All right.
And
Great.
so those of us listening on podcast, what is your email?
those of us listening on, wait,
Well, when
podcast.
you turn this into a
Oh,
podcast,
it's the same. It's the same.
so
It's going to be the same.
yes, but
Jepaduchak at
Verbalize it.
gmail.com.
What's
So
your
yes,
email address?
so it's jepaduchak at gmail.com. That's my email address.
Yay.
And then nothing ever gets lost in Gmail. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank goodness. I love that feature. All right. Well, thanks, John. And you did a brilliant job today. Very
Thank you.
informative. And anything else anybody wants to say? I think I'm good to go, and appreciate your time.
I think I'm
Yeah,
good too.
so
Looking forward to having you on the podcast next week, though.
yeah,
Next
we'll
week. That's
see
right.
you all around the SACAT campus, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.